Christians often point out that what makes their faith utterly unique among all other religions is its teaching about grace. You may have heard this before. You may have heard me talk about this before. I have in several previous blogs. It can be pretty annoying. But the reason it gets pointed out so much is because it's absolutely true. I had a professor in seminary once who would talk about how there's only two kinds of religion: up religion and down religion. Up religion is all about us working our way up to God. Up religion is all about us making ourselves better, more pleasing and acceptable so that we might find favor with God. Up religion is all about self-improvement, about us fixing ourselves. Good examples of up religion are Jimmy Carter and Mother Teresa, even though they would consider themselves down religionists. The goodness and holiness that they've achieved is what up religion looks like in the ideal. Conversely, down religion is all about God coming down to us, accepting us as we are, warts and all, so that his unconditional love can transform us. Down religion is all about God fixing us, enabling us to live and to love the way that he loves us. Down religion, bottom line, is all about grace, which, as my professor would point out, can only be found in Christianity. A good example of down religion is Paul, the Apostle Paul. As a Pharisee who zealously tried to follow the commandments, he was the Jimmy Carter of his day. But following the commandments could never generate a genuine love for God. All that generated for Paul was perpetual anxiety. As he would write in his letters, he was acutely aware that he was falling short of living the way he knew he should be. No matter how hard he tried, he always fell short. He never made the cut. He couldn't fulfill all that the commandments demanded. And that filled him with feelings toward God, not of gratitude and love, but rather fear and resentment. What's worse is at those times when Paul felt like he was achieving some semblance of holiness and doing something that would find God's approval, it only inflated his ego. It only caused him to boast. It puffed him up and made him more boastful. It only made him look down on other people, which only drove him further from being a genuinely good person. It only drove him further from God. Trying to fix himself only made things worse. If you think we're not like Paul, think again. We all know people who are constantly bragging about all the good that they do, or people who do favors for others but then hold it over them like the Godfather. It makes you wonder whether these people are doing those good things out of the genuine compassion in their hearts, or whether they're doing it really simply to make themselves look good, to puff themselves up. It's so easy to see how that taints the good that they do. But even if we cleverly disguise it with things like humble bragging or righteous indignation, we are so inclined to do the same kinds of things. For instance, when you felt unappreciated by somebody, have you ever gotten on your high horse and thought something like, after all the good that I've done for them, after all I've done for them? Me too. Clearly, we weren't doing those good things for them out of pure goodness, the pure goodness of our hearts. On top of all of this, like Paul, we are much more apt to dread God than to fall in love with God. We're much more apt to feel dread in his presence, the prospect of being in his presence, than to desire to be in his presence. However, when we admit that we can't fix ourselves, in Paul's language, when we admit that we are sinners, literally fall shorters, people who fall short, and then trust ourselves to the God who loves us anyway, everything changes. His perfect love casts out all our fears, and it frees us from all the shame and guilt that we feel. His ridiculously extravagant grace overwhelms us with gratitude and makes us genuinely want to love him in return. His abounding kindness instills and inspires in us a genuine desire to love others in the same gratuitous way that he's loved us. We make New Year's resolutions because we know how far short we fall of living the way we should. And we so often fail to keep them because we can't fix ourselves. But when we find down religion, when we find what Paul found, that there is now therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, everything changes. Only down religion can fix us. And the only down religion is Christianity. Do you think of yourself as a good person? What does that mean? What do you mean by that anyway? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, or to hear any other comments or questions you have. You can go to the Contact EJ page of the Raising Jesus website and leave them there. Also, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't had a chance to yet. And please keep telling your friends about us. Your continued support means more than words can say. Thank you so much.